Welcome back. We live in a time where screens are in the hands of everyone, including children. What implications does our obsession with screens have on parenting? We have the pleasure of interviewing Jawad Jafry, producer, director, and editor of a short series called Parenting in the Digital World. The videos focus on how parents and children can benefit from digital technology while avoiding many of its harms. Let's begin first with a short clip from the video series. Then we'll sit down and talk to Jawad to learn more.
Are you concerned your teenager isn't getting their homework done on time or they aren't getting enough sleep? Does your teen seem to be forever glued to a screen? Experts advise that teenagers should spend no more than 2 hours a day of entertainment on their digital devices. Whether it's texting, video games, watching YouTube, or something else, leisure activity has to have limits. For older children and young adults, the best approach is to discuss screen time. It's important to encourage them to share their feelings in an open and polite manner. Sometimes, guidelines and consequences work best when they're negotiated, so that everyone feels they were part of the process and had a chance to express themselves.
Have a family meeting specifically for this purpose. So a family meeting means that you invite everybody to be a part of it and you bring it up as an issue that is impacting the family. So how can we as a family come up with ways to better communicate, to make sure that we are on the right track? When you frame it in this way, suddenly you're on the same team. It's much more effective if you are willing to live by the same rules that you are trying to impose on your young adults or your adolescents.
Post the rules on the refrigerator as a reminder that everybody needs to be accountable. During family time and bedtime, digital devices should be out of sight and out of reach. Keep a place where all digital devices can be charged overnight and are kept out of the bedrooms. Alternatives to digital devices are especially important. Look for opportunities for your child to engage in non-media related hobbies or activities. Spending time with family or friends is often recommended as a way to disconnect from the allure of screens. Digital addiction is a growing reality. Keep the balance through your own example, through positive alternatives and practical limits. For other videos in our series, or to see our in-depth interviews with experts, just click on the link below. For more information on how to create a balance between screen time and family time, visit our website or follow us on Facebook or Twitter. You'll find great tips, reviews of excellent content for kids, links to blogs, articles, research, and more.
Welcome to the show, Jawad.
Thank you very much.
So what inspired you to tackle this series and topics like parenting in the digital world?
Well, for most parents, digital devices are a reality, and I think if you're in any social setting, adults are sort of talking to themselves, and kids have their necks craned over a screen, and basically it's something that is pervasive. Everybody has a digital device, and kids are locked into the screens. How can you sort of create a balance between screen time and family time? That was the idea.
Walk us a little bit through, how you differentiated between, I guess, the age groups and also what the different topics were. Because you've done, things like cyberbullying. There's also, I've seen videos on there about sexting as well, and that's not something. Those are, not very talked about topics in the Muslim community.
Right. Well, we wanted to be able to look at different cognitive age ranges, and we also wanted to be able to talk about certain topics that were, as you say, that weren't being talked about, but were important and are realities. So whether it was cyberbullying or cyberstalking or sexting, there are a number of things that we thought were special issues and needed special attention.
I noticed that, this is, again, I think the work that you're doing is very unique because you've interviewed people from all faith backgrounds and not just, not that there's anything wrong with sticking to Muslims, but you haven't stayed just within the Muslim community. Walk us through, was that intentional on your end?
What we wanted to do was have a number of people from a variety of backgrounds. And so we have a pediatrician, we have a child psychologist, we have 2 social workers who are specialists in the area of children and digital media, and then we had an Islamic scholar. And so what we were looking for were people who were basically the most capable, people who could not only give you information, but be able to make that information accessible to you. And that's why we went with these people. It was basically on the merit principle.
Awesome. And what about the way you designed this series? Because there are a series of short clips, and then you also have extended interviews. I mean, wouldn't it have just been easier to do something traditional, like a documentary that people could watch?
Documentaries are things that I've done for a long time, but nowadays there's so much video content out there. We wanted it to be accessible. So if you're interested in a 2 or 3 minute quick tip, and let's say your child is between 13 and 18, and you just want to know about that in a couple of minutes, you have that option. If you want to do a deep dive, we have extended interviews. We have tons of resources, everything from parent review sites to content review sites to academic papers. So there's a lot of information there. And so if you're interested in knowing everything, you have that opportunity. And if you just want to know...
And in different mediums, right?
Exactly.
So Jawad, who is the intended audience? I know it's parenting in the digital world. Is it primarily for parents?
Parents and families. As kids get older, they also need to be consulted around access to digital devices and to be able to feel comfortable in talking about issues that they might encounter online. So not only parents and families, but I think educators can make use of this. People on the community level can also, because it's an open source resource, people can also do seminars and that kind of thing around this. So it's something that people can use as they would like and as they think that would most benefit them.
Now, I know when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that there is an Islamic scholar, an imam, but there aren't, people from other faith backgrounds. So what would you say to someone who says, you did mention that this is available to educators and I guess mainstream educational systems. How do we deal with that? Because religion is a touchy subject within the mainstream community.
Well, I think the experience that our Islamic scholar, Dr. Salini, brings is quite vast. He's a parent, he's an educator, he's somebody who's been involved with large community groups and has seen the impact of digital devices firsthand. He's also a producer of media content. So we brought him in, and what he talks about are basically ethical principles as well as experience and knowledge from mainstream sources. So most of what he says, if not all of what he says, is very, very accessible.
So what's an example of an ethical principle that he talks about that you think is relatable to the broader audience, not just someone from a Muslim background?
Well, for example, cyberstalking or cyberbullying, and the idea that the manners and etiquette that we have in dealing with people face to face are the same manners and the same etiquette that we need to bring online. And just because nobody can see us doesn't mean that we can say whatever we want or try to harm people in whatever way we want.
Yeah, so I guess, and that's really beautiful because it sort of also highlights, I guess, the universality of our religion.
That's true. And a lot of these principles are principles that are shared across various faith traditions. And it's an opportunity for people to see that there's a common element of humanity and that common feeling that if you're concerned about your fellow human being, that's something that is a praiseworthy quality and that also needs to be carried into your digital life as well.
Perfect. So what are some of the recurring themes that you found while you were doing these videos?
Well, one of the things that's very important is that kids will take their cues from us. So if we're always connected and if we're always worried about the next message or the next text and that sort of thing, then kids will model behavior. And so if we are modeling behavior in such a way that we provide a balanced approach to digital devices, then it's easier for kids to understand that there's a time to be online and there's a time to go offline.
Well, and it's interesting that I think you kind of need to start that at an early age because I have nieces and nephews who are 2, and they pretty much know how to go on YouTube, Facebook, like they know the whole deal. So it's not like you have to wait, right, to start modeling that behavior.
Exactly. And for example, pediatricians talk about the fact that from age 0 to 2, children should have no connection to digital devices
At all.
At all, you know. And I think there's a reality to that, because if children are developing and they need to, especially young children, if they need to be able to experience the world firsthand,
Yeah.
right, to be able to know what things are and to move around and to have not only just physical activity, but also be intellectually stimulated through personal interactions,
Yeah.
then that's something that you shouldn't be denying them. They need that. And then on the other side, you have older children that are being sleep deprived, for example, because
Yeah.
they're spending so much time online and in front of the screen.
Yeah, and I think your videos do a good job of creating that balance. Where can people access these videos that you're talking about?
The videos as well as the resources are on a website called parentinginthedigitalworld.com, and that's sort of the repository. We also have a social media presence. For example, you can go to Facebook. Parenting DW is the URL for that. But if you go to parentinginthedigitalworld.com, you'll also have access to the Facebook and Twitter pages as well.
Perfect. And I know you've been in the field of media for a very, very long time. What's next in terms of some of the work that you're doing?
Well, it's interesting because I've sort of come back to children's programming recently, and I'm developing a series for children on the web. It's still in the early stages. It's for children between 5 to 9 years of age, and it's called the Story Club.
Very nice.
And we also have a Facebook presence.
And is there, I guess there's material on there or content that might be available online for if people are interested?
Exactly. What we're doing is we're going to be sharing our progress as we move forward with the project. So there's a lot of behind the scenes kind of looks that we'll be giving people, as well as some early stage content that we'll be sharing with people as well.
Very exciting. Thank you so much, Jawad, for coming on our show and sharing this valuable information with us. And I look forward to having you back on when the next project is up.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey YouTube, we hope you benefited from this video. If you liked it, or if you didn't, let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning more, check out some of our other videos. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.